So sponsorships are not my favorite part of the summit hosting process. Like they're just not. I don't enjoy it. After doing hours of research and finding speakers, I don't want to do hours more to find sponsors. On top of pitching speakers, I don't want to add the higher pressure pitch that comes with reaching out to sponsors. I don't want to have to start my planning process early enough to make the traditional approach to sponsors work out. So I don't. And I'm not saying all of those things are bad, okay? Or any of those things are bad. They're just not my preference, okay? But even with all of that, even with not doing any of those things, I still booked out my 5 sponsor spots for our upcoming virtual summit. And I want to share a little of my approach with you today. So the approach I use now is a mix of one I first used back in 2021, where instead of reaching out to big name companies who were too high and mighty to give me the time of day, I booked over $12,000 in sponsorships by highlighting my peers. And since then, I always ask my speakers during the onboarding process if they'd like information on sponsoring, and I'm always so surprised at how many say yes. And since I used speaker applications for this summit, I also asked that question in the application form. Do you want to sponsor? Are you interested in sponsorship information? And I had a lot more in there who were interested. So with that, with seeing that interest, with the speaker application, and just in past summits with asking my speakers if they wanted more, I decided to take it a step further this time and promote a sponsorship application to my entire email list. And I absolutely did not expect to book all of my spots that easily. I will say that the idea of promoting an application to my full audience probably came from Elizabeth Goddard, who has been doing this for years. At the core, it came from my aligned sponsorship strategy that I teach in our Launch with a Summit Accelerator program, but the application edition is from her. So I just want to give credit where it's due. She just has wonderful ideas and is always innovating, and I love it. But I do think the approach of promoting sponsorships in this way with an application is best for those of you who have hosted summits before and know your industry really well, meaning you have a really solid idea of what the sponsors will want from your event. If you're like, I don't know what to offer them, I don't know what will be attention grabbing, this is not the best approach for you. And then I think also like another piece of criteria here is that you have to have the potential sponsors in your audience. Like if my potential sponsors didn't exist in my audience, it wouldn't make sense for me to promote the application to them, you know? So this could be harder for those of you in the B2C space, but our aligned sponsorship strategy that I teach in our program is still a really great fit, just without widely promoting an application. But to give you a little inside look at what I offered sponsors this year, there were a few things I kept in mind when I was trying to come up with this. First, I knew that I wanted to offer 2 to 3 packages to them, and I ended up with 2. That's just what felt good when I was laying everything out. I also know that our sponsors want visibility with the audience, like high quality visibility. They want leads and they want email promo whenever possible. They want me to talk about them to my email list. And then I also knew that anything I offered them had to be fairly easy for my team and I to implement because we are adding a lot of bells and whistles to this summit. We're like mixing in a challenge and doing different, like all kinds of stuff. So it had to be easy. I also knew that everything I offered had to be a win for myself, my sponsors, and my attendees. It couldn't just be one. Maybe all of them weren't necessarily a win for me, but all of them had to be a win for my sponsors and for attendees. So I ended up with 2 packages. One lower tier that would be easy to offer to 4 to 5 people. I ended up cutting it off at 4. It includes simple things like logo placement, a featured all access pass bonus, a featured prize giveaway, and a few other goodies to get them some list growth and some visibility. And then I offered one higher tier spot that added in really high value opportunities like a solo email to my full email list, high value features at the summit, and more. And I even had a couple sponsors reach out and be like, hey, I want to like upgrade this package with a few add-ons, which is really great as well. But I'm really happy with how these packages were received, the fact that they will be fairly simple to implement, and I'm really excited to see the results our sponsors get as well. If you have never offered sponsorships before and you're thinking about it, I want to just share a few tips with you. First, please do not undervalue the packages you offer. I see this so often, especially with first-time hosts who are like all up in their feelings about whether or not they're good enough to be even asking for sponsors in the first place. People pay a lot of money to run ads and to get in front of their target audience. And it will take work for you to do that promotion for them. You need to be paid for that, right? You deserve to be compensated for that. It's not just an easy thing to do. You also need to know what your sponsors want. If you don't try to create pre-made packages. Get on calls and find out what kinds of results they're looking for and what works well for them in marketing their business. Then get off that call and brainstorm how you can make those things happen in the summit. Don't try to just guess and put something together based on what you see other people doing. I would also encourage you not to trade sponsorship money for the ability to effectively share your own offers. So if something you want to offer a sponsor means that people aren't going to see enough about your offers, let's not offer the sponsor that thing, right? Let's keep that for your offers. And then the final thing I want to note is that sponsors need to add value to your attendees. It shouldn't just be a pitch. They are there to add value as well. So those are some things you want to kind of figure in when you're considering sponsorships. I have a lot to say about sponsorships, clearly. Those of you in the accelerator, you have all the trainings, templates, call scripts, package ideas, everything for both the traditional sponsorship approach and the aligned sponsorship approach. But regardless of whether or not you're in there, I hope this was helpful and that it has you inspired to make sponsorships work for you in your next event. They do not have to use a one-size-fits-all approach, and you can change things up as you go based on what you learn in each round. So go ahead and leave a comment and let me know any thoughts or questions you have about sponsorships. I hope you enjoyed this video.